What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Real About Entrepreneurship. And I have been talking about business or entrepreneurial besties. And so today I am going to be talking with one of my entrepreneurial besties. We have done a lot to get this conversation going today. Okay. So, welcome my guest, one of my entrepreneurial besties, Jessica Townsend, to the Real About Entrepreneurship. Jessica is a realtor, and we are going to be talking about her journey to become an entrepreneur, what that looks like, work-life balance. So we're about to get into it. All right. So what's up, Jessica?
What's up, Lamika? Thank you. First and foremost, thank you for just your patience, for this wonderful opportunity for having me on here. You know, I'm one of your biggest fans, one of your biggest supporters, one of your biggest, I can't say sponsor, but one of your supporters for sure. And I'm just honored to have this opportunity to be on here. Lord, we made it.
Right. Because we have to
So
do all the things to get on here today. Okay.
all the things. But you know what? This is going to be a great interview. I enjoy watching. I've seen several on your YouTube station. I think you have such a great spirit and talent about you. And I think that people need to hear what you have to say. So I'm glad that you are giving this opportunity to talk about my journey and all the things that came along with it.
For sure. I got to give street team first dibs. I mean,
Hey.
you street team. All right. So as you guys can tell, we are truly friends. Okay. So
Yes.
so we're gonna get into it. So Jessica, just I guess give them tell them who you are and I guess your background and how you came to your a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey.
Sure. Well, everyone is, Lamika said, my name is Jessica Townsend. I am a realtor, and I love that you said it correctly because it is realtor. I am in the DMV area. I'm a Texas native. And so my entrepreneurial spirit and background goes back for many a year. I have been doing in this current role for the past 5 years. So June makes 5 years, but my journey started a long time ago and just didn't know exactly how I end up here. So you want to talk about more about how I got here?
Yeah, because you gave me the real short version of how you got here. Like that is not the because I know the real. That is not the journey. So
Yeah.
okay, okay.
Well, let
So
me let me give it to
so
you. Let me give it to you.
yeah,
Okay. So a long time ago, and and I'm not saying started a long time ago being funny, but I come from a
right.
family of entrepreneurs. My grandparents, I don't even know if you know this, my grandparents had a grocery store called Neighborhood Grocery. It was back in Austin. And my grandfather got injured on the job. And so they were able to have their business. So I would be in the store with them. I would see them cutting the deli meat, having little Brax pies and all that kind of stuff. And I would sit there with my grandparents. So I knew I wanted to have a business mind back then because I love the smell of carbon paper. Then, yes, the little paper, yes, the purple paper. And then my grandmother was a seamstress. So she used to make clothes for other people. My mother worked for the IRS for many a year. And when she was working for the IRS, she actually started her own business called Punctuation, which was macrame. Yes, macrame and like little knickknacks and whatnot. My uncle had a body shop and my aunt and uncle did upholstery. So I would be in the streets back then with them doing deliveries for upholstery. So it was in my blood to just be an entrepreneur. I didn't have the physical skills that they had, but I had the gift of gab and I use it so well. And
Yeah.
so as I got older, I knew that I said, you know, you went to school. My mom went to school as well, but there were things that I wanted to put to use. And after trying many things, I have sold life insurance. I was in the financial services industry. I drove 40,000 miles on my car in 1 year, all across the DFW at Metroplex, trying to be this young Black girl selling insurance to anybody that would listen to me. And I said, if I could do that and work 70 hours a week and make like no money and still be one of the top producers in my group of 13, then by darn it, I'm going to be able to do something later on. And when I bought my first home in 2009 back in Dallas, I grilled my originator, the loan officer. And so I
Hmm.
said, you know what? Maybe you could do this. So I knew it was going to be real estate. And then lastly, one day my cousin, she's up here in the area I live in, she reminded me, she said, Jessica, you knew you wanted to be in real estate. You just didn't know what capacity. And so it dawned on me when the passion for real estate really kicked in is when I started giving my old broker or my old agent referrals. I was like, you could do this yourself. Like, make some money, honey. So
Right.
that's what happened.
Right. No, that's what's up. You know what? Now it makes sense to me as to I don't think I understood how you became to want to be an entrepreneur. Like I knew you did the insurance, but the backstory of understanding your grandparents, your mom, your uncle, like all that now it makes sense to me as to how you became an entrepreneur, like where you got the thing for that. So, okay, I like that. I love that. Um, so now that and I call her the natural networker, y'all. So she is, I'm telling you, Jessica is the plug, okay? She is the plug. So, okay, so before I get, so you're a realtor, and I'm probably gonna say that wrong.
No, that's correct.
I'm probably gonna throw a realtor in that at some point.
That's fine. That's fine. You got two out of the rest fine.
So you, okay, so now what area are you a realtor in?
So yes, I am licensed in the DC, the DMVs we call it, DC, Maryland, and Virginia. So I got licensed back in Maryland in 2018, followed with DC by the end of that year, and I got my Virginia license on my birthday a couple of years ago. A true nerd
Nice.
taking a test on her birthday.
That's what's up. I like that. Now, as far as so when you first started, you were working full time, right?
Hmm.
Okay. So a lot of people, they find challenges in, starting their business and working a full time job. So like, what kind of, I guess, what did that look like for you, and how did you make that work for you?
Well, a lot of times people have their side hustles and they are afraid to tell their primary employer for a multitude of reasons. Some could be they think there's haters at the office, not think there are haters there oftentimes. They'll think that maybe this can be a conflict with their work. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to tell my employer that I'm going to I'm going to study for my test and get licensed.
Hmm.
And it's the best decision ever. A lot of people said, really going to do that? But the journey with that was I said, you know what? You're working this job. I could do it my eyes closed, my last job. And when I decided that I was going to go full fledged into doing my real estate, I couldn't just jump off into the deep end of the pool automatically.
Hmm.
So I was what we call dual career for those 4.5 years because I just finally took the plunge last year in May and said, forget y'all, I'm out. But I had a great support system there. My manager was fabulous. We're still good friends. My team supported me. And so I was able to go to our meetings at the full time job and then also leave and go to closings. I would do listings or appointments rather after work typically because most people were going to be after work anyway.
Hmm.
But the beautiful thing about that was because I was not afraid to operate and I didn't operate in fear. I said, look, I'm passionate about real estate. I always told them, I said, yeah, I'm going to be here. I'm going to be here till I retire. Now, I knew that wouldn't be the case. But 5 years, 4.5 years, 5 years is a long time to be doing that. And it
Hmm.
really worked for me because in the end, not only was I able to get more job satisfaction out of that job, because I was
Hmm.
able to educate people through our affinity groups. We had the women's network and we had this other minority groups and whatnot. People would see the post that I did, and I could post proudly online because it wasn't a secret. Had it been
Hmm.
a secret, I would have stunted my own growth for my entrepreneurial business because I had to keep it a secret. I don't believe in the closet. I want my stuff to be out and open and let people know, hey, I'm the realtor extraordinaire. Let me help you.
So you know what, I like that. I didn't even think about how much not being able to, I guess, openly talk about your side hustle. I didn't
Mhm.
realize how much of that could stunt your growth. I never even really thought about that because I don't friend anybody that I work with on social media. I mean, like if they find me, they find me. But well, for one, I'm hardly on social media. But that I do think when I first started Hike Goddess, like that was a big thing for me. And then I was like, well, I guess I was on this morning show. I guess I might as well just kind of be okay with it type of
Right.
situation. But I do like the fact that you didn't hide it. And because you didn't hide it, it allows you to flourish. So um for those who might not have that ability,
Hmm.
you got any tips on like what to do?
Yeah, I mean, I would say if they are unable to share openly as I was and get that type of
Hmm.
support, because I still have some naysayers there, but at least the good thing was my true supporters, like senior management, was still
Hmm.
having my back. Now there have been places I worked in the past, I wouldn't have been able to do that. So I would just say be smart. You could still highlight your business. Like you said, you can't friend
Hmm.
everybody. So at that point in time, your social media presence has to be limited or restricted from the people you work with. because you don't want that hurting you. And also
Hmm.
try to work in a field that's not going to be a direct conflict with what you do. Now, if somebody's passion is in their primary place of business, I gotta say,
Yeah,
just think very careful because you don't want to lose your primary role because that's primary money coming in until you're ready
right.
to make your side hustle be your primary role. So I would just say is that, still do your media and whatnot, but you have to be mindful about who's watching it.
Hmm.
And also even places like LinkedIn, you may not be able to put that out there. So a lot of this may
Hmm.
be word of mouth, but just say, okay, is this going to negatively impact me? And I think that if they can get to the side of eventually being able to be public about it, try
Hmm.
to weave that into the role of at the full time to say, hey, you know what? I have this entrepreneurial spirit about me. I do a few of the things. I'm qualified to do X, Y, Z because there could be tips or excuse me, trades and skills that you have outside of that
Hmm.
role that may able to help you with your full time. It could be because a lot of times I feel like people are their side hustles, unless there's going to be like a mechanic or something like that, right? And you're working at IT, those aren't really
Right.
true. You could still get you could get some contacts from your full time job, but if, as long as it's not a direct conflict, I would say find a way to weave in your spirit into that full
Hmm.
time if you can. If you can't, just be quiet about your stuff, stack your chips, and be like, I don't know nothing. You don't know me
Right.
until it's time to go.
Right, that part. Okay, yeah, I think that's a suggestion. I'm gonna roll with on that one. I'm gonna roll with that one. Now, okay, so you were able to work it, and now you have left, and now you are a full-time realtor.
Hmm.
So, what steps did you take? Because I was talking with another entrepreneur, and she gave like some legit, tangible steps. And what things did you have in place to allow you to be confident to say, okay, now I'm going to just be a realtor full time?
No, there are a lot of things you have to do in the preparation stage. You can have a plan and you can have an action plan, but it's not an action plan if they don't work together. Okay. So I knew probably around my second year that I knew I wanted to eventually leave my corporate job
Hmm.
and do this full time. So what did that mean? That means especially in a position where you work in the service industry and you work on a 100% commission, that means it's going to be ebbs and flows with the business. So if you
Hmm.
have a steady paycheck coming in from that steady job, then you say, okay, I need to put all the chips I can away. So for me, when I started saying, okay, if you can make X number of dollars, like I had a whole spreadsheet I put together. I love numbers. So I had my spreadsheet. I had like a 3-year plan out there. And I said, the first year, I need to sell X number of houses to make this much a commission. My broker's going to get this much. I'm going to get this much. And then I had my own plan to say, okay, by the next year, I want to make this much in those. And with the pandemic, it really helped because everybody's in a buying frenzy and a selling frenzy.
Hmm.
But all that money that I made, I put it to the side. Some I would pay off some debt. So like if I had a car note, because I have a couple of cars, like 5, 6, 8 cars. No. So I paid off any debts I had. So the only thing I had was a mortgage
Uh-huh.
because that way I said, I don't need my inflows to be less than my outflows. And that's the thing when you get so accustomed to having that steady income, it
Hmm.
is a true shift. It's a shift of your energy and of your pockets.
Hmm.
And before you do that, you have to really sit there and look and say, okay, what are my wants, needs, and my desires? What do I have in my life that I have to absolutely maintain? Okay, I need to have internet, so I keep that. But do I
Hmm.
need to go out on a vacation every 6 months?
Yeah,
Probably not. You
girl.
do, but it's a matter of, in that first year or two, it may be once a year versus every
Hmm.
6 months. And then things like health insurance. That's the biggest thing I've had to deal with because that bad boy right there is not inexpensive on a monthly basis. So
Yeah.
you have to do a whole projection of what are my costs because you're going to be working for yourself, which means you have expenses, you got to get your CPA, you got to do all these things. What happens when the money isn't coming in from the deals? There's one year that last year, I'll be very candid with you, I was working my butt off and I had a close in January that was a carryover from the year before, and I didn't have anything closed until June. Now, I had my other job, so I didn't really feel it. I mean, I felt it because I knew my part time gig was now taking up for my full time money. And I'll talk about that in a
Hmm.
second. But I knew that I had something to fall back on. Well,
Hmm.
now it's been May and that fallback money is not present. So it's a matter of, well, what do you have? I had to have money in my account to say, in case you need to have those rainy days, what are you going to have? So a person just
Mhm.
can't sit there and say, I want to work for myself. I'm going to do all these things and not put anything to the side. You have to
Right.
be very disciplined and strategic.
Right.
And I knew that when I got to the point when I replaced my income, and I'll just tell you this, I made a deal with the devil, as I call it, my last company, because I had this position where I was, the grades don't matter. I was like a 7 and I went down to a 5 because the position was a better suit for me. I was in training, all in the financial industry. So that's my background. Like a lot of stuff is just financial stuff. And when I knew I wasn't going to get any raises with them, I said, well, shoot, forget y'all. Like, I'm going to focus on my real estate because the money I make in my real estate gig is more than anything you would ever give me any little funky ass bonus.
Mhm.
Yeah, I said funky
Mhm.
ass bonus. And so, and so I said, you know what? Keep that in mind. And when the doors started opening with the little floodgates, I said, Jessica, pay your taxes because that's one thing people need to do too is pay their quarterly taxes because you don't want to be like Ron Isley getting caught up and now paying your money and go to the IRS and get to see the feds. Okay. So you get so used to making money, you have to be mindful of what am I doing to prepare for this? Because when the cash flow is not there, I need to make sure that these obligations really are covered. And when I saw that I made pretty much 90% of my salary beforehand for my full
Mhm.
time, and I've been stacking it away and I paid those debts off, then I knew it was time to do it.
That's what's up. Because most of the time, people are not. I have people ask me all the time. Somebody just asked me last night, "Hey, I'm ready to leave my job because I can't. It's taking up too much of my time to be able to do what I want to do." And I'm just like, if you're not using your time wisely while you're at the job, it does not change when you take that job out. So you got to have some discipline going into it.
Yes.
And I didn't even get to the part of are you saving your what part of your check are you saving right now in order for you to to be able to go out on there. So I've been one of those people before where I'm just like, you know what, I'm out. But
but but the things you learn from that, and I did this. What this? So the things I admire about you is you and I go way back. I've seen you have all your different roles in the past, and I've learned from you. I lived you vicariously because there were times that I still had that fear. I wasn't confident enough to take off just yet, and because when I was confident, I almost failed. And I think
mhm,
that every entrepreneur probably has to have a little bit of failure or close to rock bottom before they can really realize that they can be successful.
mhm,
And when you can't do anything but fall on your back and look up, then now it's
right,
time, you know? And when I was working at Dillard's and in the jewelry department and working doing life insurance, it was hard. I mean, that was one of the work I was here. I am trying to help people with their future, and
mhm,
I'm hurting myself. Like I barely pay my lights. I'm 25 years old back then. I could barely pay for my own bills. How am I supposed to make somebody else's life better? And you have to walk the walk and talk the talk. So you can't go into these business meetings looking like, please buy from me, please buy from me. Okay. Because they will see it all over your face. And but what I learned was I said, if I can do this for somebody else, then darn it, when the time is right, and this is 20 years later, I finally was able to do it. But there was also 20 years of the work of the in the making of being that natural networker, supporting my other friends who had their businesses and learning from you all about the do's and the don'ts out there, getting my pipeline built up so that people knew when they come to me, it's always something about people want me to sell items for them, and I wouldn't just sell anything because I have that
mhm,
gift of gab. No, I can't sell because I don't believe those business profiles and whatnot. And I didn't
right,
want to lose the people that I could have when it comes to saying if Jessica's going to be selling something or touting it, it must be good. And when you give out free information over the years, people can think about that when it comes to you now getting paid to get the information out there.
mhm, mhm,
So I just think that, you can't just take this, it's a step of faith, but you also have to be very actionable and, like I said, strategic. I knew that I could not fail. There have been some days I've been just in the bed crying, like, why, Lord, why me? What am I doing? And then somebody would come hit me in the head, and be like, knucklehead, this is what you're made to do. Just because it's something you're passionate about doesn't mean it's going to be easy.
that
And if you can make it look easy, then you're doing a great job with it.
mhm. Well, very much so. It's because, but going back to what you said is, back when you were doing insurance, the fact that you kept working, knowing that, I don't necessarily know what I'm going to do, but you still put in the work to be able to get to where you are right now. And so many people want that. They want that right now.
Mhm.
And so it can be a hindrance, but I love the fact that you continue to work, because your girl was over here like, you know what? I'm just gonna quit. I don't know nothing about
Mhm.
these numbers over here. I'm just gonna quit and we gonna work it out. But now in watching you, I'm like, you know what? I gotta tighten this ship up. I gotta tighten it up, and knowing that these are the things that I need to look at in the event that I do. Now, I love my job. I love the stream of income. I look at it as a stream of income, but I also want to make sure that I'm responsible in telling people, if you are going to leave your job, and having people on like you to be able to share that information, because you gave tangible information on, like, here's what I did in order for me to be able to leave the job. Now also, you mentioned you took a training position with your corporate job. Like, how did staying on with your corporate job, how has that helped you in now running your own business?
Oh, phenomenal. Because the thing is, I love to educate people. And I work with a lot of first time home buyers. And one of the biggest things you're going to do in your life, other than probably get married to have a baby or a baby for somebody, is buy a house. Okay. And with that, it takes a lot of knowledge and patience, because people are sitting there get this analysis paralysis.
Hmm.
They'll get misinformation to them. You have family members, you got to get them off like, hey, look, no, you don't have to have 20% to buy a home. If you add 20% to buy a home, well, let's talk about why what's your plan with this.
Hmm.
And I'm able to break down very detailed and very intricate types of information for them to make it be digestible. So
Hmm.
because they always say in the world of training, talk to the level of the lowest learner. And I can also be very dynamic in that. When you're teaching something very technical in nature, where hundreds of people sitting there and like working on a system, you have to be engaging and you have to make sure they walk away with that. So what I do is I sit there and say, okay, look, so you want to be a homeowner. Well, what's your motivation with that? What is your plan? How long do you want to be in this house? Do you going to be in this area here? So I really get to know the person's first and foremost, because establishing a rapport with somebody is key. If I feel like you're just another face to me and I'm just another face, it's going to be a difficult journey for us to really bond. I tell people all the time, when you have a workout partner or a trainer and that person transforms your life, you become very close to them. That trainer learns a lot about you. And I akin that to me as a real estate agent. I've been a
Hmm.
therapist sometimes, unlicensed. I've been this counselor over here. I have to be like taking all this information in, but it lets the people know that they trust me and I trust them. Because what
Right.
I want to do is let you know this is a long lasting relationship. I'm not here just for the transaction. If you have a transaction based realtor, then you probably may not have the best relationship with them, because you're not going to think about them in the future. I want to be that person who said, hey, Jessica sat here with me when I was making, maybe let's say $65,000 out there, and I wanted to buy an $800,000 home. And she had to tell me, hey, it doesn't quite work like that. Let me walk you through the steps, because the goal is that you will have increases in your income, your lifestyle may change and whatnot. Let's get into a home that's going to meet your needs for today. And then if you want to be a landlord, or if you want to just like I do, I go in, I may be a long-term flipper, I buy something, fix it how I want it, and then sell that bad boy. Then let me learn that, because what works for me may not work for somebody. But I'm here to say, look, here's point A, here's point B, and I'm not going to drop you before you get to C, because I want you to be able to see the future. See what I did there with me? I want you to be able to see yourself in that home and
Hmm.
realize that it may not be, a 10 out of 10, but if you can get 8 out of 10 things for a home and you're enjoying paying that mortgage every day when you get up, you're like, I love my house. I really love these things about it. Then I know we made the right decision, because then I want you to be that repeat. I want you to send me your referrals, because I'm going to take care of those people like I took care of those other persons.
Hmm. And that's what I love about you. I need you to get your Texas license, by the way. Okay.
Okay. All right.
So because that is one of the major differences that I see in you in running your business versus some of the others. Is that it's just more of a transaction. It's not really educating people on it, and especially if you're working with first time home buyers. There's, like you said, someone making 65,000 saying they want to buy $800,000 house, like, that ain't gonna work. We need to talk
Right.
about it. but I do think that even in you preparing people to say, okay, if you want to buy a house, then let's get your finances in order. We need to get, we need to get these things in order. And it's not a, okay, well, hit me back when you guys get it together, but it's a definitely a step through. So I like that in what I've seen you do with your business and how you talk about, here are certain ways that I've helped your clients. So, if y'all are in the Virginia D or the DMV area, then definitely check out Jessica because she is thorough
Yes.
in the information that she provides, and you're gonna have a good time. And like I said, she is the natural networker, so you got that. And this is what I was talking about earlier, is like everybody has got to have a business, entrepreneur bestie. I have several of those. Jessica and I go way, way back to
Mhm.
the finance and investment ministry in
Yes,
church.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
So and that just goes to show that, in being able to build a network, because you have to have a network of people that you can expand upon. So do you have any business besties that that you go to for the business? And especially owning the real estate firm, your real estate company, like who do you have that you go to be able to help you grow your business?
Well, one, I'm looking at her, and that's no lie, because I will hit you up, be like, "Hey, what is this? What is this? What is this?" And I often just watch things too. But then, like you said, yes, there are other people out there. So when you're in a environment like that, you find out some people are successful and they're willing to share the success and keep you
Mhm.
accountable, and others want to keep it to themselves. There could be plenty of people out there who make a lot of great money, but they are not necessarily sharing information. So
Mhm.
when I start to build rapport with other people, they could be in a totally different industry. If they're willing to share their struggles and successes and whatnot, and we have that bond, then we
Mhm.
typically transition the conversation to some type of accountability. And so, whether it's saying, "Hey, I can do this and you do this, let's keep each other accountable, let's do our check-ins and whatnot," that has really been the best thing. It's been with some other agents in my current brokerage. There's been people who are in totally different fields. Anybody's commission based, like even like I said, personal trainers. The struggle is same.
Mhm.
It's just a matter of, it may be a different business, but if you're working on commission, then you already know that is a lot of stress right there. And when it's a people based business, so if somebody says, "This is what I do when I'm trying to sell a car to someone, or if I'm
Mhm.
trying to sell some windows to someone or whatnot," there are still commonalities between those persons, even though the industry may be different. So I keep stretching my tentacles out, often unintentional, because when I talk to people, I ask probing questions. It is not to see like what I can get from them, because I give a lot. And when
Mhm.
people see my energy around me, and I'm walking around the treadmill and dancing, all that kind of stuff, they see that one side, but then I bring that zeal to the business. They're like, "Oh, I had no idea." And then we end up talking about these things and learning that there's a lot more to them than just meets the eye. So I have a whole plethora of accountability partners.
Right. Well, and I think that's what makes it so I think that's what makes it so natural, and for people to refer things to you because you are so giving. Because that's one of the things that I've had to step back and say, the people that I share information with, who's actually sharing back with me. And I've had to cut some people because they weren't sharing back. And I'm like,
Yes.
let me let you stay over there. So what are for someone that necessarily that it may not come as natural to them as it comes to you, like are there any tips that you have for how to be able to connect with people to build your entrepreneurial bestie roster?
Yes, I started writing a book. I haven't gotten past draft form yet, but it was basically how to be a natural networker. And that focus at one point was about like being an African American woman in a world that you're probably a minority in so many ways. And the first thing it starts with this, saying hello. People think I'm kidding when I say that. I'm like, "Hello, how are you doing?" Because so many times people just walk past others, they miss multitude of opportunities. If I'm on a plane, I may not feel like telling that person that day. If they look like a weirdo, especially, I'm be like, "Let me keep to myself." But I'm like, "Hey, how you doing?" "Oh, okay." And then we may engage. And I think the thing is just taking down that wall of fear. People are afraid of being rejected.
Mhm.
If you are afraid of rejection, then you're not going to be able to do well in sales. In sales, whether it be for yourself or somebody else, you have to be able to get that thick skin. And as you get more comfortable to where you're just walking, you put one pants leg on like the other one. So I say this is that
Mm-hmm.
I had a blog before and I said, what would you say if you met President Obama? And I said, I would say hello. And the thing is, I said, he puts one pants leg on at a time, just like I do. He is just a
Exactly.
person, just as I am.
Mm-hmm.
People get so stuck on status and whatnot. I'm going to respect you for your role and position. But in the end, I'm not going to be afraid to speak to you. So when I see The Rock and his pretty self down the street, I'm like, hey, Rocky, how you doing, boo? And I'm
And
really
she
like,
is
let's
not
talk.
lying, okay? She is not lying at all. No exaggeration.
Because people they get in their heads. I think the biggest deterrent is ourselves, is that we get in our own way. And I've been guilty of this. There have been days when I said, I don't feel like getting up to go network. I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. Case in point, I went to open house a few weeks ago for new construction. And I said, I'm just gonna take pictures today. People want to see that. I said, Jessica, pictures don't make deals. And so I said, you get out here, you're going to talk to people. So when they came in, I said, hey, I had two questions with them. One is, are you working with a realtor? The other one is, are you looking to buy or sell? And I had an accountability partner there with me. So when we finished, she's not even in the industry. She knows I'm passionate about my real estate. I said to her, what do you think? She's like, hey, you did really great. I realized that when you ask the question is, are you buying or selling? You got a lot more conversation from people. There's a natural flow versus saying, are you working with an agent?
Mm-hmm.
And it made sense because when I told him, are you working with the agent? Asked that question. Then I gave him for information. I said, look, make sure you keep your agent involved in this transaction. New home builders are looking out for the new home builders. They're not looking out for you. You need to make sure you don't circumvent your agent in this process. And they say, okay. Now the others, I said, are you buying or selling? Yeah, I am. Or no, I'm not. Well, great. And I actually got a lead from that. So this is a person now I'm actually selling her home in a couple of months, and we're currently under contract for a new construction. And the beautiful thing about that was we just naturally gravitated. I asked that question. She's walking down the stairs, her and her mom and her baby. My home goes here. I'm actually sitting on the floor. I think about people walking behind me. I said, oh, get up. Because I'm so excited and I'm in disbelief. We go downstairs, we engage in a conversation. In that conversation, I was very relatable. I remember things like y'all know y'all call me mainframe. So I know a lot of things and I put a lot of things to my head. So she's like, yeah, I was in the military. I said, oh, the Air Force? Yeah. Were you at this base, this base? And it just has that level of a relatability. You
Mm-hmm.
can't force it. It has to be something natural. But the first step really is saying hello, asking people, what's important to them. If you try to sell yourself to someone, they're
Mm-hmm.
not they're going to time out because people want to speak about themselves typically. You have 30 seconds to make that first impression and to say, okay, well, what is it I can do for you?
Mm-hmm.
Think about yourself later on. And the part about that too is realizing that you can only give yourself so much before you have the takers. If I'm not receiving from somebody, then yes, I'm going to give a little bit less.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. And a lot of people can tell when it's a natural conversation. It makes it easy, and it's not even a thought that if I want to work with you, it's kind of like, oh, you know what? Let me reach out to Jessica because I know that when I just had this, the conversation with her naturally flowed. And I think, like, again, going back to, I know I've said it before, she is a natural networker. Girl, she found me my man, y'all. So because she is a natural networker. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, if y'all got, I'm telling you, you gotta have a Jessica on your team. If you do not have a Jessica, you need. I'm telling you, you gotta get you one. Um. So that, yeah, that's definitely important. And a lot of times, I was gonna circle back to, do you think that had you not prepped in 2018, because you got your first license in 2018, do you
Mhm.
think if you had not prepped in 20, or gone ahead with your plan of becoming a realtor in 2018, how would that have affected you come 2020 now when everybody is looking for a house?
I would have had a hard time. I would have failed. I wouldn't be able to have that confidence. Not that I would have failed, but my success rate would have been a lot less than what it is. And
Hmm.
success is still very subjective. Some people, they say if I've sold $8 million, I'm successful. If I sold $2 million, I'm successful. Whatever. Had I not prepped, then I wouldn't know how to make myself stand out for those other agents. Those other agents do the whole thing, and I'm not knocking anybody. The whole trending, I'm on Instagram, got these videos and stuff up.
Hmm.
But can you talk about what it's been before the market took place, before it changed, or can you
Hmm.
only speak in this time frame right now? Because there's a lot of agents who came on, and people even ask me, "Hey, how can I get into real estate?" And the first thing I ask them is, what is your motivation? And the same girlfriend had told me, well, some people may say it's money. You can't knock them for that.
Mhm.
So my
Mhm.
thing is, if you're in it for the money, I can't judge you. I'm not in it for the money. I'm in it for the passion, and I happen to get paid. Now, there's some days when the bills look a little tight. I'm like, no, I need to get paid.
Right.
Um,
That part.
but it gives you the sustainability because people can ask you, well, how long have you been doing this? In your
Mhm.
first year as a realtor, it's a challenge because people think you don't know anything. And if you have a baby face, they're going to think you're even younger. But when you can open
Mhm.
up your mouth and speak eloquently and intelligently and say, hey, in the market, this is what transpired back then I know we've gone through the changes. And now we're in a part where we're shifting because people want to know your expertise is going to come in versus, well, I saw it on TikTok and they sold this house because it was real pretty.
Right.
So the sustainability and the intelligence and what you bring to give people the confidence in that transaction is what makes me stand out.
That makes sense. Yeah, because there was an influx come, obviously when we were all at home.
Hmm.
So that make and the reason why I say what made me ask you that is because so many people delay starting their business. They delay starting their business thinking that they have time, but we don't. And the fact that, because you did have the confidence to start your business while working, when an opportunity came, it allowed you to be able to capitalize on that opportunity. So that's what made me ask, is because so many people will say, I can't do it right now because of my schedule, or because I have kids, or because I have a husband, or because I have all these things, and
Right.
then they're not able to seize that opportunity. So that was really good.
Well, if I
Um,
may, that's a
mhm,
great point. I mean, even in this industry now with people who are working full time as a realtor or as a dual agent, I do a lot of coaching and I'm not an official coach to anyone, but people will see me. I've been in meetings and whatnot. I met some new agents out there and I told one lady, I said, look, you could be a dual career agent. They will tell you just don't operate like one. I had times where I was on a call and this agent was a full-time agent and they said, I said, yeah, I'm dual career. They're like, first of all, don't worry, don't tell anybody else that again. And they're like, it's okay. You're an agent. They're like, most people do this job twice. They have two jobs and whatnot.
mhm,
Secondly, she was like, you don't carry your business like a dual career agent. A lot of times, dual career agents have to focus on their full time job and they may miss deadlines and things of that nature. I was on it. I'm Johnny on the
mhm.
spot. And so that's why the benefit of me being able to tell my last employer that I could do these things, as long as those deadlines didn't slip, I was great, but it gave me the ability to be able to be responsive because I can't let my side hustle, which is going to become my main hustle, go by the wayside because I had a conflict. And so
Right.
time management is a huge thing with this, and just having the confidence to know, okay, look, yes, I have all the things that get in the way. It may be a happy hour over here. If you're going to happy hour, you better make sure you open your mouth, talk to somebody about it.
Right.
Like make
Right.
everything be an opportunity to benefit your business. And there'll be some days I don't feel like doing a lot. And then I sit there and say,
Mhm.
well, what did you do for your business today? You don't have to be
Mhm.
on every day, but if you want your business to grow, you have to be able to get out there, network with people doing it naturally. You have to be
Mhm.
strategic. You have to constantly read and say, what is it I can do? Coach and so on to others, but also be coachable. Because the thing is, for me, I realize that I have all these nuggets of information to give people and say, look, if you're dual career, still operate in the manner of the confidence you have to have so somebody doesn't sit there and question you on it, but also be receptive to receiving information because I can continue to grow. If I don't receive
Mhm.
information, I'm killing my business. I know I
Right.
said a lot
No.
of stuff out there, so
No, 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 that is good. And no, and that makes sense is because a lot of times people will operate as part-time, and they're not they're and the mindset, it takes a huge mindset shift. Is, are you operating as a full-time business owner, even though you're splitting your time? And so it's a mindset shift. I'm glad they shared that information with you. And I think a lot of times, people will say, well, oh, I'm only doing this part time, so it really doesn't matter, or they aren't able to respond. So, not telling somebody, I think that helps whoever you're working with have more confidence in you, when they're using you. So that's a big thing. No, like that is really big. Um, there was something you said, and I thought I had a note. down. So you mentioned that you primarily work with first time home buyers. Is that your focus, or if someone wants to reach out to you, like who is your typical client?
Anybody can come. Okay. So I don't discriminate. I regulate everybody. Okay. Um, I work with buyers. I work with sellers. There's some agents out there that say I only do listings because they think it's easier. Some say I only work with buyers. I work with everyone. I have a lot of experience with people who relocate.
Hmm.
I've had people who work for the government and they're coming out here and saying, look, I come from Texas or Florida, wherever it is, and I need to get to this place by X number of days. And so I know how to work very timely. We'll do 15 showings in a day. That's been a standard for me for a long time. And my broker's like, what? Because you tell me I have to move, I'm gonna get you in that house.
That's true.
I'm gonna work hard. I tell my clients, look, pack some snacks and bring some water. They thought I was playing when I said that. I was dead serious because my thing is I have a goal to get you in your house, right? And
Right.
you can't just buy a house after seeing one or two, because
Hmm.
I've shown some people 54 homes and put in 6 offers, and on the 6th offer we finally won. Okay, that was like in 2021. It was a very competitive year, but you have to have sustainability and the endurance. So that's why a lot of people don't want to work with buyers, because they say, oh, they're finicky, they don't know what they want, they're indecisive. They're all that, but they will also be the puppy dog with you and follow you around when they know you've taken care of them, and that's no diss to anybody. So I work with buyers. I work with, um, repeat persons. There we go. I want to make sure I'm being PC, like not putting genders and stuff out there. Because repeat buyers and sellers, they bring another level of expertise to the situation.
Hmm.
They may say, I've been an investor. I haven't done a lot of work with investors out there because there's so many people that work with investors. So I work with
Hmm.
people who be primarily having their main or their second home. But when you have somebody who's already bought a home beforehand, they can tell you what their experience was in the past. And sometimes it
Hmm.
haven't been that great. So what that does is that gives me the opportunity to show them this is how I can make it better for you.
Hmm.
Or
Hmm.
if they said, hey, my last agent did this, that may be something I picked up. So I work
Hmm.
with everybody.
No, and that's good, because we want business from this.
Yes, we do.
So we definitely want business from this. So speaking of that, as we wrap this up, so what for those who reach out to you, what should they expect from you when they do reach out to you?
The first thing is I'm gonna have, if we're looking to be a buyer or a seller, I'm gonna ask you some questions just so I can get to know you. So, I'll say, hey, let me make sure that it's a good understanding of one another, because I really want to know the people on a lasting relationship. As a buyer, expect my first conversation to be about 2 hours. I try to do it in an hour, but sometimes it just go a little bit longer because I really want to find out what the motivation is, what their plan is, because I'm big into financial planning. I want to make sure that they're in the position where they really are ready to purchase a home. So if they haven't been
Hmm.
pre-approved yet, I got to go through that whole process with them. If they've been pre-approved, boom, let's get that letter, let's get you going. And if you're going to be looking visit other homes, because I'm not going to put a house in the market without seeing it, learn from that. And a lot of it's just open communication. They can expect me to do check-ins and just really seeing how they're feeling through the process, because it can be very tedious and a roller coaster of emotions. And I want to make sure that I try to protect them from that as much as possible.
Hmm. No, and that's good. I do like the fact that you're going to take the time and the expectation of what, and that's really important, because I would have never, I didn't think about that.
Oh,
Me
and they're
being
going to
in.
sign an agreement with me, because what I've learned too, first of all, I don't take anybody out. I'm not going to show you home if you haven't had a pre-approval letter. Not going to do it. And I have to stand firm on that. And the other
Hmm.
thing is, because people say, well, I don't want to sign up with it. Well, you know what? Would you want to do a trial basis? My time is important. I don't get paid until the transaction is done. I
Hmm.
don't charge fees out there. I don't, oh, you look cute today. Let me charge you $5. No, I'm not getting anything. Okay. Anything. The best thing I get is knowing that I put somebody in their home or I sold their home and got the best price for them. And that
Hmm.
we're going to have hopefully that repeat business and referrals. So because of that, I take my business very seriously. I want my clients to know that I'm committed to them. I need to be committed to me as well.
Yeah. No, and you are absolutely right. You are definitely right. And so how does someone reach out to you on social media, website? Like how do they contact you if they want to,
Yes.
get more information?
My social media is basically Jessica Townsend Realtor. That's on Gmail, on Instagram and Facebook. LinkedIn is just my name. You'll see my little face out there. And even on YouTube, you'll find me. You'll find a little extra stuff out there too, because I've been extra, so I like to do karaoke and all that stuff. I ain't changed my page over, so they're gonna have a realtor who has personality as well. But Instagram, Facebook is just my name. That's the easy way to find me.
That's what's up. And I love the
And then
fact
my
because you go.
website,
Oh yes, your
Townsend Realty
website.
Service. Yes, townsendrealtyservices.com. Or you can go to Coldwell Banker. That's who I work for right now. I'll say that.
Hmm.
A great company out there, and they have great. If you're doing a listing, we're gonna take care of you and get you the best price out there. So you can find me easily.
That's what's up. You are going to have a good time with Jessica, and you're going to learn some things, and you're going to be in the home that you want to be in. You're going to have a great experience. Let me just say that. You're going to have a great experience. So make sure you all check her out on all her social media platforms. We will be sure to put it down in the description. Before we go, Jessica, is there anything else that you want to share about you and your business?
Um, I'm serious about it. I just love it. I love working with people. It gives me the satisfaction, the gratification to know that I'm able to help somebody get into their home or sell their home and look back and say, I had a great agent. She actually cared about me. I have people look at me like I have little sisters now I've accumulated. They're like, hey sis, can you help me? And it's a beautiful thing because I know that I'm the person that comes to their mind. They're like, I'm about to break up my boyfriend. I talked to you about this. Like, no joke. And that doesn't happen with everybody, but most people, I have a lasting relationship. And that's what I love about is that I'm able to be professional, but also endearing and be able to just say, hey, I'm here if you need me. So I want to say, Lamika, thank you for this opportunity. I know I was like stumbling over some of my words. I get so excited, but I support you. I think this is a great platform. And thank you for letting me share myself with you out there.
Oh yeah, for sure. And forgive my phone. It is on do not disturb, but my mother just wants to keep calling me.
I
So you
love
know
her.
what? We're gonna wrap this up and we're gonna call her. But guys, be sure to check out Jessica. Like I said, all of her information will be below. I'll be back with some more of my entrepreneurial besties. And until next time, peace.
Thank you.